I repeat, I call this regular monthly meeting of the Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District Board of Commissioners to order. May we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary, would you do the roll call, please, sir?
Commissioner Phyllis? Here. Commissioner Larry?
Here?
Commissioner Ken?
Here.
Commissioner Randy? Here. Commissioner Doug is here.
I declare there's a quorum. Gentlemen, have you all reviewed the agenda?
I have.
And ladies? Yes. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Yeah.
Our golf manager has a breakfast meeting for a league this morning. We'll be here later. Maybe it'd be better to move the agenda item for clubhouse hours to later in the agenda.
We can do that. Okay. Go
Make
ahead.
the motion, we approve the agenda.
Second. I have a motion to approve and the amended agenda, and I have a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We got all right, the minutes. We got minutes of seemed like we met every week this month, for February 26th, March the 5th, then the special meeting of March the 18th. These were all.
I move to approve those minutes as printed.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, we got those approved. There's no ceremonial announcements. We've got announcements from the district manager. Or do you want me to make that announcement?
You could just well do it.
Okay. We the board,
I have a personal favor to ask of you. I had ear surgery last week, and I'm not hearing very well, but I wanted to come to this meeting because it's very important. We have a lot of real important items on, so I'll try to listen to you real well. As Bruce mentioned earlier, if you come to the podium, make sure this red light is on, and speak as clearly as you can. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
okay, the other announcement is that we the board hired Rich Figgins, and he will be as the new district manager. Mr. Figgins has got a vast amount of experience in infrastructure, roads, water, sewer, all that kind of stuff, and he's worked in Iowa, and he and his wife will be moving here in April, and he is due to start on or about the 15th of April. So we'll welcome him whenever he gets here. Public comments. Is there any public comments to start with? No? There you go, Pat. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on, I can't see crap. I guess it's customary, Pat Elwood, 14 Holiday Island Drive, I think a couple of you know me. It's about time I let the commission know, I'm not asking for anything, but know what we're gonna do in October. My wife insists I read a little bit of this just to get you the flavor. And this is Mary Bandy in 1884, sitting at Holiday Island overlooking the Bandy Cemetery. One morn while a lonely grove set over my head a little dove for its lost mate begins to coo, which made me think of my love too. Said a little bird, you are not alone, for I like you constrained to mourn, for I like you once had a mate, now I like you must mourn my fate. What we're going to do in October, that just give you a flavor. We're going to do a little history lesson, something different for October, or for Holiday Island. What we're going to do, or what we got planned, I've got some help. The Holiday Island High Hawk is going to help me, and Bryce, who else is going to help me? Oh, Chamber of Commerce. How could I forget that? And a couple others probably before we're done. What we're going to do is start some parking in the parking lot directly below us. We're not going to allow any parking on the island. This is October 19th. We're going to have a hayrack ride that starts there, takes you along Bandy Drive. We'll pause briefly at the Bandy Cemetery while we tell a little bit of a story that I just started. Then they're going to continue to the barn. Inside the barn, we're going to have a live band. We're going to have some things to do. We're going to have some food for sale and other activities. They can spend whatever amount of time they want in the barn. After they're done with that, they'll go out the front of the barn. There'll be a couple of bonfires, and we'll talk to the fire chief about that before long. And a couple of storytellers around those bonfires. Those storytellers are going to tell the story of Bandy's Bend, which several of you know. It's a tragic story. They'll tell the story of the several people buried in Bandy Cemetery, which is Mary's two brothers, her dad, who was killed by Jayhawkers, and some other. I don't want to give the whole story away. They'll tell that, and once you've done with some cookies and some cider and listening to the storytellers, you get back on a different hayrack ride, which will bring you back to the parking lot. This is going to be different than anything we've ever done in Holiday Island. We're hoping for a good turnout, something a little bit different. I'm not asking for anything of you guys other than I want you to know what's going on. We've got our first meeting under our belt. We've got assignments for each one of the three groups that's going to participate, and I can give you more details as needed later on. And right now, if you got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, if I can. That it?
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, no problem. I also got to go to breakfast. Can I be next?
Yes, you may.
My name is Tom Winter. It's on. I'm one of the volunteers for the fire department. I've been volunteer for 20+ years. And the job that we do for the community is very important. It's highly dangerous, and we carry the radio with us night and day. And, you never know when where they're gonna go off. It go off all hours. This month alone, we got roughly 200 cars. That includes medical, firefighter, rat fire, house fire, accident. I think we spend about, every time we get a call, we spend about 2 hours per call. So this month, I know I responded to like 20-something calls. That includes 4 grass fire, 3 accidents, some medical calls. I'm proud to do what I do. I understand that there's an item on the agenda to take away free stuff for volunteer and employees. I want to let you know the whole reason I started this job, this volunteer, because I want free stuff for my family, myself. But as the time go by, I don't enjoy the job. I want to do for my community. The whole reason, we take that away from a volunteer and an employee. I think it'd be harder to get more volunteer on the fire department. It'd be harder to find good people working on this community that we love so much. And when you think about that before you make the decision to take that away from the volunteer and an employee. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Chair, I'd like to answer Tom. I didn't bring up this item, Tom, but I've talked to about 5 or 6 firefighters, as well as the chief. I called him, talked to him at length. My concern was there were a few, I've been called from citizens, and they said, how come some firefighters, there goes the door, got to have that door fixed. How come some firefighters who never make a call all month get $900 free golf? And the chief sent me a memo, and I talked to the district manager about it as well as some of my colleagues. And he sent me a memo of the people that are always on call, like yourself. I've seen you out there dozens of times over 20 years. And he said to his knowledge, there is no one right now that is getting free golf that does not show up for call. So I took him at his word. I take everybody here who's at their word. And I appreciate our fire department. I've said that 100 times from this table and elsewhere. But when the golf consultant came in, he said raise prices 20%, which we did. Some people, that's a little hard. We raised swimming fees and so forth and so on. What we're trying to do is come out of the budget deficit that we're in and spend money on what we really have to spend on. And firefighting and we put a lot of money into the fire department last year, tons of money, and it was needed, okay? So I'm for you guys and gals, and I'm going to support you, but anybody who's playing golf on my dime and doesn't show up shouldn't be there. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And you,
It costs a lot of money to outfit a firefighter, and if they're way over in Berryville or somewhere and they can't come, there's got to be some fairness to it. That's what I'm saying. But those of you who are there all the time, and I know you and people that are in this room right now are there all the time. I have no question about that. No problem. That's all I want to say about it.
so you know, we spend a lot of time training to when we're not responding. We spend 2 hours, 3 days a month training, and a lot of these volunteers are new round. We have a lot of new volunteers there that are waiting to be certified to go into the building fighting the fire. So we are, you see myself, Kelly, Carl, and Dave here. Dave here has been numerous hours at the fire station trying to make it better, clean up, and do all this stuff. Kelly and Carl always do, they want more medical call than anybody on the team probably. And they spend their time helping on their own time transporting with the truck getting it fixed or the truck new tire. They volunteer the time to drive the truck to somewhere. So we spend the time not only to respond to medical call, we spend our off time doing stuff to help make the firefight better for the community.
Kelly? Pardon?
Kelly Trahan, 2 Narrows Drive. Like Tom said, volunteers spend a lot of hours out there on the calls, as do all the fire department members. If they're on duty, they're there, the tone goes off, everybody shows up, we do what we can. But one thing I'd like to point out is the fire department needs a full-time staff that y'all can't afford. And because of the volunteers, you don't necessarily have to worry about that right now. So how much money is saved by not having to pay full-time firefighters, insurance, lot fee, all this other stuff that goes with that, all the gear and so on that you get from volunteers. So if we get to play free golf or go swim, isn't that a bonus for y'all? I mean, isn't that something to think about? Volunteers pay for their stuff, not firefighting gear. $300 stethoscope because I'm deaf and can't hear. Duty boots, EMT pants, duty jackets. I pay for all that out of my pocket. We sit out there for hours on scene, hot, cold, danger. Doesn't make any difference. So I think it's something that we give our time, our heart and soul to this, I think it's something that we deserve. I think it's something that we've earned. And I think it's something for y'all to have to think about. Thank you.
I'd like to say I was a firefighter for 25 years, retired in 1996 in the town I was at. I know all about firefighting, because we had a total volunteer fire department. We had about 45 guys on the department. We had nobody paid or anything like that. So I do know about firefighting. And we had a golf course. And the only amenity we had in Nebraska was that you didn't have to show no jury duty. That was the limit of what we got for 25. And I retired in 1996. So I just want to let you know that I do know about firefighting. And I've went through all the stuff, the protocol, all the firefighting equipment, all the schools, all that. So we will take that in consideration. But I guess, if you're losing money at something, and I don't feel that we can probably give the whole thing away. And I'm not sure exactly how much money that that gets out, but I'm saying if I'm guessing, is there 30 or 40 people? If they're all in the fire department, you're probably talking 900 times 40. You're talking about 36,000 or something like that a year. There's 7 firefighters is all that play golf. Well, and then we have how many? We have city employees that do too, and I guess for our golf course, the only thing we gave the actual person that was actually working with the fire department would work with the golf course. Those are the only people that got free golf. So I just want to let you know we are considering all that stuff, but we do have a big budget deficit, and we're going to have to take care of it. So we're going to have to make some cuts here or there. And I don't know what exactly we're going to cut there. We'll see what everybody decides. We'll hear what everybody has to say, and we'll make a proper decision at that point.
My name is Carl Trahan. I live at 2 Narrows Drive. I only have a couple of things to say. And last year, I think the fire department did almost 900 calls. Okay? I don't have the number of calls that every firefighter went on. I have 2. I went on 278 calls last year. Kelly went on 270 calls last year. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the year 2023. We always keep our radio on. We never turn it off. There's no amount of time that we can give that equates to what our benefit is. Okay? The last thing I want to say is that some of the firefighters for Holiday Island, Captain Ralph Goodman, he's been on the department since December of 2014. He's a firefighter. He's a retired firefighter from Oklahoma City. He's a paramedic. He's an EMT. Lieutenant Pete Ross and Tina Ross have been on the department since 2014. They're both EMTs. Sean Hanna's been on the department since January of 2011. Tyler Scroggins has been on the department since 2017. Tom Winters, I see, has been on the department since 2005. The 2 people that Holiday Island responds most of, and in a fire situation, is Tom Winters and Tyler Scroggins. They go inside the building where I don't. And I give them all the respect in the world. Kelly Trahan is a firefighter, EMT, a first responder. Been on the department since 2012. The same for me. She is a firefighter. She is an EMT. She is a first responder. Nick Nicholson has been on the department since 2010. Nita Holly, bless her heart, has been in the department since 2009. So, if you want dedication, I'll show you the dedication, okay? We respond to all the calls that we can. Thank you.
Reports, District Manager.
Chairman, last month I spoke quite a bit about my concern about the the 2024 budget. And I've been looking at that as carefully as I can. Right after our meeting last month, I issued a memo to all the department heads instructing them to not do any non-essential expenses. And been looking through things and trying to find places where we could perhaps increase revenue or reduce expenses. And found some that we'll talk about later. But some have been a little bit disappointing. I saw $150,000 budgeted for legal expense, and I thought that seems extraordinary, and there must be a way to reduce that. Unfortunately, when I dug into it, I think we have already sunk over $200,000. We haven't got the bills yet, but it's already, the work is awarded. So well, that was a big disappointment. We're in worse shape than I thought we were. Friday, I got an invoice for $5,000 for fireworks. I said, geez, that sure looks to me like non-essential. And I said, no non-essentials. Well, that's something that we may have made a commitment on. We're going to try to find out how we can back away from that. But so we're working on it, and there's some things that we'll talk about later that may help a little bit, but we got a long way to go. And I've told the new district manager, it's not going to be easy to be popular here because you're not going to be able to give people, big discounts on anything, big new programs, and you're going to have to tell department heads, we're going to have to cut some stuff because somehow we got to bring this thing a lot closer to balance than what we are right now. Couple of updates on the Sportsplex. That's really coming together very well in a matter of weeks, I think. That's going to be ready to go. As far as Johnson's work, we finished the landscaping here last Friday, I believe it was. We've got the fencing ordered to close in the fencing, and I think it's just a matter of weeks that Janice will be able to start moving in there. We'll have to bring in an electrician to do some work on the pool, for the small pool, and that's going to be a little bit complicated, but we'll get that done. And so I think it's going to be a fine facility. We published a notice in the newspaper last Wednesday that we're seeking proposals to take over the food service. And we'll publish it again in the paper tomorrow. But so far, we've got no indication of interest. No one has picked up our specifications for the proposal. So it's hard to say how that will go, but so far, not much happening there. Several of the commissioners and I have, one of the things we've looked at is a major expense to rehab the pump house at Well 5. And also, I took the newly hired district manager out there to look at that, and he's got quite a bit of experience in water systems, a lot of experience in water systems. Our conclusion is that the facility that's there is fully functional. I mean, it's old, and it's kind of like if you had a 10-year-old car, you'd rather have a new car. But if you don't have a whole lot of money to spare, we should put that off. So I'm thinking we'll tell our engineer, ASI, put that on the back burner. We'll need it someday, but not now. I had a contact from Congressman's legislative assistant, and unfortunately the deadline was Friday last week to put in a request, but Congressman Womack has some latitude to award for infrastructure projects in the state, and I think by putting this off, maybe we can get in line for that for doing something in 2026. And from the looks of it, I don't think there's much doubt that pump house, the booster pumps, will be fully functional. They're actually redundant. There's two of them in there. So even if one of those old pumps fails, we can switch over to the other one. And I've discussed it with our water manager, Dan Schrader, too, and he doesn't disagree. So that's updates on some of the things that I've been involved with in the past couple of weeks. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we get to old business. There's none. The new business, receive and approve February financials. We got them here. I have tremendous trouble being able to get my emails and stuff. For some reason, it comes and it goes. And I have not had the opportunity to look at them in depth.
Mr. Chair, could we move and second for discussion and maybe the district manager help us with some of these questions on the financial? I'll move to approve the February financials.
Motion for approval and second. Is there any further discussion?
Second.
Yeah, I think Phyllis seconded it.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any discussion on that.
Bruce, when you first came on board 3 or 4 weeks ago, you talked about some concerns you had. And looking at these are the latest that we've had financials since that time. Does it look like we're on any path for improvement? Or I know you've got some other items on the agenda about lots and so forth. Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel in terms of improving financials?
Well, in the report through February, it's pretty much business as usual. So, no, I don't see any developments unexpected there. And the only thing I can hope is that all the department heads are taking it seriously to avoid any non-essential expenses.
Mr. Chairman, we had budgeted $438,000 for well number 5 in our capital improvements budget, and if we defer that, that will go a long way towards bringing down the deficit, or changing the deficit for the budget.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, so that's a big boon there to the budget situation.
Mr. District Manager, how much, what is our deficit right now that we're over budget?
Well, my primary concern is the operating budget, which is $800,000 in deficit. And that's the kind of stuff that goes on year after year after year if we don't rein it in. Well, I shouldn't say that entirely, because the legal expenses were extraordinary this year, budgeted at $150,000. That now the indications are it'll come in well over $200,000. So going forward, I think we're already stuck in that this year. Next year, I think that can be a lot less.
I think we can shore that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Question on that 438,000. So if we bought no new equipment, no new rolling stock, not a penny this year, Phyllis, is what you're saying, we could use that money to offset the 800,000 that we're in a deficit situation. Am I correct on that?
What I'm saying is that comes off of the budget. When we revise our budget, that $438,000 will be removed. Is that correct? Is that the way the budget works?
Yeah, well, we have, I think it's $800,000 operating deficit, which is my primary concern. We have $1.7 million total deficit when you include the capital. So this will come out of the capital. So we've reduced the capital amount by 400 and some thousand.
Yeah.
So isn't it state law we have to have a balanced budget?
No, it is not.
When we turn in our budget, what are we, if we run $1.5 million over, don't we have to have approval from all of us guys to be running all that amount over?
Well, the last year's board approved it, so.
I understand that, but I don't think they were looking at all the figures right either.
I would say our unrestricted cash right now is $1.5 million. And last year's board viewed the fact that we were sitting on quite a bit of cash, when typically every previous years we had about $1 million in the money market account. So we felt it was in the benefit of the property owners to spend some money on things that had been delayed. And that is where we started our process of budgeting, was with cash that was available.
I understand that, but you can't just keep spending money and money and money when we don't have money.
That would be true if we didn't have money.
We don't have money. That reserve is there for.
I'm waiting,
That's
Mr. Chair, I'm
unrestricted
waiting for
cash.
the rec center to open, grand reopening, because I just signed a check last Friday for $6,000 more for fencing. And every time I sign checks, it seems more and more and more and more. This is a deep hole, and it's not the swimming pool. It's a debt hole.
Okay.
And we signed a contract for $583,106 to tear the place down, and I bet it's up 90,000 overrun right now, 90,000. So I agree with Commissioner Pinkley. We've got to spend what we have to spend and not keep going deeper and deeper. It's just like your home budget. You don't have enough to pay the power bill, the power gets shut off. We've got to stop spending, and we've got to hold the line.
Okay, we deviated from the financials pretty severely here. Let's get back on track. We have a motion to approve. We have a second to approve. We've had the discussion. All in favor of approving the financial statements signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We changed the agenda, but I see Lauren is here. So since you made an effort to get here, we'll go ahead and take you in order, okay? This has to do with the changing of the hours of the operations of the clubhouse. And
So- Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Well, under kind of just the rumblings of the board, I've already changed the hours, so we're already opening an hour earlier and closing an hour later. So we would have done that in April anyways, just as we've done in perpetuity. But, I mean, yeah, we're doing it. We started last week, so I don't know. There's no reflection of that in numbers as of yet, but we have done it. So I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but that's the truth.
So our pro shop for April and May
Will be
opens at 8 and
8 to
closes
5.
8 to 5.
And then on the weekends, on Friday,
8 to
Saturday,
6.
6, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's only because we're not doing dinners
Right.
at the moment, so.
And the restaurant hours would be 8 to 4.
They'll be 8 to 2 because I only have 3 kitchen person, or 8 to 3, excuse me. So as they get earlier, I have to close earlier because I only have 1 kitchen person basically per shift, more or less, or 1 team, let's put it that way.
And then it'll change again in June.
Correct.
Full
Yeah,
season
to 7,
starts.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yep,
I'd like to say something.
sure.
You know, I guess I sit there a lot of days after we play golf, and I see people come and go that want to play, and I hear people telling me that, you know, if I work till 5 o'clock, I can't play golf at Holiday Island. So I think, I've never seen a golf course that closes at 5 o'clock. Generally, the golf courses all close at between 7 and 8 o'clock. And I think that's kind of in the summertime, that's where we need to be if we're going to get some of this outside play.
We certainly are close to that in the summer times. On Friday and Saturday, we were open till 7 all throughout the summer months.
Well, you
and
know-
even in the winter months, because we were doing dinner as well.
But, you know, when these people come in and
Sure.
you have, somebody comes in and, like the other day, we were sitting there was 8 people came in, they got off the golf course, it was closed. And,
What day was
they all
that?
they all wanted to buy beer, and they offered one guy, I was sitting there, and they offered one guy to buy his beer that he brought in a cooler.
Well,
So
yeah,
I
right.
know that,
Was
I
in
know that we could do more business, and we could get more business if we advertised that we're gonna be open to a later date. you're gonna get some of that people from Eureka to come up here and play. There's a lot of people who like to play golf.
We'd certainly have to have extra personnel for that.
Yep.
And as is, our budget is pretty strapped, but I mean, we certainly can throw personnel at it if you want me to hire more personnel earlier in the season. But I mean, we do our budget according kind of to the hours that we have to work. So when I did the budget initially, it's reflective of the hours that we operate on a normal basis. If you want to extend those hours, that's certainly fine, but I will need more personnel to do so.
And what do we pay an hour? Is it like $14 or $15?
Correct.
Okay, so if, let's say we're open 3 more hours a day and we have a person running the register
Sure.
for 3 more hours, let's just say that if we do that, that's $42, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we'll also
So
have to have a card
if we have
personnel.
one green fee that pays $55,
It'll be 40 at that
one green
time
fee
of
a
the
day,
day.
it pays for all that help.
But I mean, it does go to 40 at the twilight rate. I mean, sure, we can certainly, but again, in the hours, we're open till 6 and 7 anyways. So you're saying that in February,
But we
that
need to
at 8
advertise.
o'clock,
No, we need, not, I'm not saying in February. I'm saying when it starts getting warm enough where golf season starts,
Right.
I think we probably ought to really be open till 8, because it doesn't get dark till 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right.
So I think, if we want to make this thing, we need to
I
advertise it.
agree. And it would also be helpful for the golfers that golf and finish golf to purchase their beers there as opposed to.
Well, I
bringing
think
them home
that's
from your friends.
the next thing I was going to bring up. Most of the courses I've been on, if you brought beer into the course, you were thrown off and never to get back. I mean, I think that's something that ought to be curtailed. I don't know how did they ever come up with letting people bring their own stuff?
Well, it's just kind of, the guys just make a club and a club. It's a club and a club situation. I mean, the kind of thing happens all through the course. I mean, it's with him guy, it's with Hilga, it's with Old Coots. There's clubs within a club. And so these guys come out back and they just do the stuff. And then how am I to prevent them when they drive by their homes? And we don't have a marshal. When we've had marshals, they just piss down their throat, excuse my French, but they literally just brush the guy off, treat him with no respect. When I ask people to pair up, they treat it with no respect. I mean, there's multiple issues, but yeah, I should be able to penalize these golfers. But, I mean, they don't, I don't know how to explain it. It's a tough group to police, let's put it that way.
But if we move the pro shop downstairs,
That's not gonna change people
well,
bringing their
but
beers from
somebody's
their
down there
home.
watching what's going on, and, I think that's a benefit.
Sure, I mean, I don't disagree with moving the pro shop downstairs, but I mean, if we move the pro shop downstairs without a leasee in the restaurant, there's no reason to do that. That's
Well, I
extra
know, but
personnel as well.
I think it's a factor that if we're losing money up there, we've got to get something done. And
Yeah,
I
I
think we need
agree.
to rent that hall out at least once a week. I have a good friend that does that. That's all she does.
As a
and-
wedding planner or something?
As a wedding planner. That's
Do you
all she
wanna
does
bring
in
that as a
Fayetteville.
person?
Huh?
Do you want that as a personnel? Because I agree.
No, no.
I agree that we should have somebody to organize
I don't
events
think you
and
have to
stuff
have
like
her
that.
as I think she would, it's my cousin. She does it does it in Fayetteville. She does it she does big weddings. But she told me there's no place that she could rent that hall with the parking you have. You have a great parking, which a lot of places in Eureka don't. You have we need to probably do a little work in that ballroom.
Just a
And
little.
like a floor and maybe some windows and stuff. But, because people like a nice wedding. But if we were to do that and we could generate 1,000 or you can't get a place in Eureka
No, I
for
agree.
less than 9 months out.
I
So
encouraged the
if you're
board
talking,
of last year to increase rates on the ballroom. I encouraged the board to increase rates on annual rentals. They denied those requests. So
well,
like,
if we rent that place out every weekend,
Yeah.
we could generate a whole lot of money right there, and that would help our budget a bunch.
I
So
agree with that.
And I know we can if we advertise.
Sure. Yes,
I
do it. Advertise it.
I think that what we're going to have to do is we're going to have a work session and set some fees
Right.
for all the facilities that we have.
Okay.
But
That's
Lauren,
good. I'm-
thank you very
Lauren,
much
I'm
about
done.
Absolutely.
letting us know about the hours
Yeah,
changing.
But please do advertise it. If you want to advertise it, I mean, you guys are the authority in spending and stuff like that. You can't expect me to manage all these things and then also being your advertising firm as well. So like, if you want to advertise our facilities, please do so. They're there. I'm there. I help clean up the room. I set it up often. Today, I set up the ballroom. I was there at 6 o'clock cooking breakfast for the league. It's not like I'm not there doing these things. But if you want to advertise them, The board needs to advertise these things. You need to advertise your facility.
Thank you very much, Lauren. We appreciate that. Moving along,
Did we even make a motion to discuss this?
at the clubhouse hours?
Yes.
No, I have not made one. But anyway, I thought it was a discussion, an action to take, to change the hours. Do we need a motion on that?
Hours have already been changed, so I think it's somewhat of a moot point now.
Yeah.
Table the discussion.
Yeah.
I'd say we just table the
Let's
discussion.
let's table
I think
that.
It's already changed the hours, so.
Yeah.
I think we change that to the workshop and maybe increase the hours we're going to be open.
Yes, okay. Okay, moving along, we got to change the regulation. We had a regulation, the district regulation, that stated where the stop signs are and where yield signs are. A lot of places where there's yield signs, there needs to be a stop sign. A lot of places where there's stop signs, they could probably use a yield sign. What we're doing is doing away with the regulation that requires those to be there and leave it up to the discretion of a road superintendent because he can make that decision. And I would like to entertain a motion for that action to happen.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Is this the second reading of this resolution? Did we read it in the December or January meeting?
No, I don't believe so.
I'm suggesting that there should be appropriate to entertain a motion to waive the rules and enact this immediately.
I think that's in order.
I'll make a motion to that.
Make a motion to that?
Yep.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we got that done. Discussion and action on lot sales policy.
Let me describe what I would like to consider here. The district foreclosed on 182 lots in 2023, and those are going to be at the tax auction in July of this year. Most of them, at least, probably all. The district has had a practice of selling those lots to anyone who asked for $500. But I think it's just been by word of mouth. I would like there to be an organized program. I put together a web page that lists them all by unit, lot, and block. So if there's a lot next door to you, you can look through there, or one in your neighborhood, or something you're interested in. We'll say, come in, and those are $500. We'll give you a quitclaim deed. Now, a quitclaim deed doesn't guarantee a title, but really it is good title, but it'll be subject to back taxes, almost certainly, probably $500 or $600, but you can look at the records. So I would like to make that kind of a public program. We would put it in our HICID newsletter, and after people in Holiday Island have a chance, then we'll maybe do a press release and open it up to the area. It's a whole lot better for us, I think. The prospects are better that if somebody local buys it, they'll pay the assessments and taxes. If it goes to the auction, it's those foreign, out-of-state land speculators for the most part that pick them up cheap, and they don't pay taxes, they don't pay assessments, and then it comes back around and we're have to consider foreclosure again. Now, there's also 266 lots that we foreclosed just a couple of weeks ago. Those are kind of fresh ones, and it'll be a while before they go to auction. So I'm thinking to offer those at $1,000 each. And if they don't sell in a year, then they'll probably be on the $500 list. So that's, I would like the board to approve that approach to it. Now, in order to do that, you would have to pass the regulation that's next on the agenda. So we might be taking this a little bit out of order here today. So that's what I'd like to put on the table for discussion, to give me the authority to sign a deed to sell those lots. That first group for $500 each with a quitclaim deed. That second group for $1,000 each with a quitclaim deed.
Bruce, I think it's a wonderful idea, and it's the first time that I've been on the board for years that we've come up with any proposal to deal with this stuff. So I would be 100% in favor of it, and thank you for your efforts.
Yes, Bruce, I've got an idea, and I think on these lots, I guess my question is, when the attorney forecloses on these lots, does he have a regular procedure of dates? Because I think if we set up that he can't foreclose on those lots but 5 years, then we have all the assessment for 5 years, we have all the taxes for 5 years, and then what we do is we don't forgive any of that stuff, and then at the end of 5 years, it goes into the tax, for the tax sale, and at that point, you're talking $2,000 to $4,000 that's going to be owed on that lot, and you're not going to have these speculators grabbing those lots. Then we go back to the state and offer them $10 for the lot, and we take them over, and they're ours. And then basically that's what we'd have to do. And I think it's definitely a possibility that would work. What do you think?
That's down the road with other lots that I'm talking about right here.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's.
But don't we need to set up a policy that when he can foreclose, because some of these lots, they foreclose on much earlier than other ones?
The attorney makes no decision on this. It's entirely with us, what we turn over to the attorney for action and when. So that's something that we'll have to consider down the road.
Okay, you got my opinion.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, what you're asking, we really have two action items that talk about the same thing. Is that correct? Can we combine number 4 and number 5? Or do we have to pass the resolution separately? The resolution is the next one. The regulation is number 5.
A regulation has to be treated in a, different way.
Okay.
And like I say, I think I got this on the agenda
We got
out of
it
order,
overlapped.
out of order.
Okay.
If you want to, I don't know, if you want to consider tabling that for the moment and going to item number 5 so that we can enable this thing.
The chair.
Do I hear a motion to switch these around so that we can go ahead and do number 5 first, the discussion on the approval of the regulation, and get that done so that he can, then
I'll move to do that.
you move to do that?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passed. Now, let's get to the discussion on number 5 about the regulation, changing the 24-002, amending Chapter 2 of Section 2-225, delegating the authority of the district manager to execute deeds. In other words, if somebody come in and they want to pay $1,000 for what a lot or the $500 option, whatever, then you would be able to go ahead and execute the deed. Is that what we're addressing here?
That's correct. There's some provisions in the code currently that require certain minimums, which we've actually been violating and would be violating if we followed the suggestion that I made in number 4. So what this would do, it would delete the existing portions of our regulations that set certain minimums, and it would put it at the discretion of the board with instruction to the district manager, which on number 4, you would be instructing me to sell a certain group, offer them for sale at $500, another group at $1,000.
I'd make that a motion, that we allow the district manager to go ahead and, but we have to amend that ordinance in order for you to do that.
We're going to amend the
Right.
order first.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, again, this is one where you need a motion to waive the rules and make it effective immediately.
I'll make the motion, we waive the rules and make it effective immediately.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair, just one question. Bruce, how would we get the word out other than the district newsletter, which is really a good way, but could we advertise, do an advertising campaign on this?
Well, what I'm suggesting, where I came from 20-some years ago, we would regularly do press releases. And I don't know if the press here, but I think they would probably cover it. So if we do a press release and say we've got a group of lots we want to sell for $500, another group we want to sell for $1,000, and they're listed on the website, and it's first come, first served, I mean, I don't know what would happen, but I think that would be a good approach. And if nothing happens there, maybe we can then think about some sort of advertising program.
Well, what your motion needs to be is to approve Regulation 2024-002, which in effect accomplishes what you're saying. I mean, you don't need to say we approve the district manager do this and that. You're approving that regulation. And your motion didn't state that.
Okay. All right, let's go back and vote on that again. Do we want to change the regulation 2024-002? Change it to that one, amending the Chapter 2 amendment. That's what we voted on, isn't it? That's what we thought we were voting on. Now then, let's vote again.
I move that we amend Regulation 2024-002.
We're approving that one, we're amending to Chapter 2,
Right.
Section 2-225. We're amending that and approving 24-002.
I'll make that a motion.
You make that a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now then, discussion on the sale of the lots. I think we beat that to death. So that's a go-ahead.
Motion would be to authorize the district manager to offer for sale the group of 2023 foreclosure lots at $500 each, and the 2024 foreclosure lots at $1,000 each.
I move that we allow the district manager to sell those lots as printed on the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? Signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, all right, I think we beat that around. Discussion okay, this is amenity privileges for employees and volunteers. We've discussed that, I think, at pretty good length here, and I think we got further discussion.
Mr. Chair, I think we've discussed it a lot. I think we heard from particularly firefighters. I don't know of any other changes that need to be made. So we could either just table this or leave things as they are, and if need be, come up at a future meeting or workshop.
I think we
But, I
need
think
to
it's
leave
good as
them
it is.
as they are now, and we will work on that in the future. We've got fee structures to work on at a meeting, and we're not going to, but anyway, we'll get into that at a work session.
I think that's a proper thing to do.
So we'll leave it as is now.
And table it for the time
And
being.
And
Chief,
table.
you'll keep us informed what the situation with your staff. Thank you.
Okay. Now we go down to discussion actions of dollar authorization, section 2-185. I have no clue what that is.
Me neither.
I'd like to bring that up for discussion.
We
The
don't have a
previous district manager and maybe a couple, one before him, had authorization to spend $35,000
Oh.
without, is that the one we're talking about there?
Right.
$35,000 without coming to the board. And previously it was $15,000. And my last 2 years on the board, 2.5 years, I think this is one of the problems that we got into. We're spending a lot of money. The fire department, I knew every penny. I knew every penny and every truck we bought, that was all fine. But other things were going by at 35 grand. I didn't know about it. And then we end up with this deficit. Now, all of that wasn't due to the purchasing power. But I think if we were elected, the 5 of us, to manage the budget and keep us solvent, then we need to know if it goes over that. I don't mind coming in for a special meeting. I don't mind doing a phone vote, whatever. But if something goes out, it's a big deal. If it's $35,000 or more, but you get 3 of that, you're over 100 grand right there. So I think it needs to revert to 15,000. We have a new man coming in. I think he would be fine with that. And that's why I brought it up.
I think
Instead
10
of
would be,
35, it's 15, unless the board votes over 15.
I think it ought to be at 10. And then thing over, above that, it would be a board decision.
I would agree with $10,000 limit. I don't know what the district manager needs to buy that costs $18,000 without any board discussion.
We don't need that.
Let me give you an example. The heat pump was 10.5. Now, and it's something that required quick action. I guess we can have, a special meeting if that's the way you want to go.
Telephones work.
The reason I wanted 15 is I think, Lauren, we just bought a new heat pump air conditioner for the ballroom. I'm not sure what it cost. Yeah. 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 We probably have 30 heat pumps around the district, and all of them go 10 to 15,000 at least. So to have a board meeting and get one for the Pro Shop Diner would be a waste of our time. But if it's 35,000, we need to have a board meeting about it.
I would have a question. Carrie, do you know offhand how many checks were actually signed over 35,000 that, is there a way we can go back and figure out just how often that happened? I'm not sure it happened all that often. I would be interested to know the real numbers of those large-sized checks that were not part of the regular expense. I know we signed 60,000 for sand.
Well,
That
an
doesn't
example was
require
the
approval.
money spent to pave the parking lot at the marina.
That was all included in the budget, correct?
No, it wasn't.
No.
And it was furthermore, that parking lot the first time around was paved by the Corps of Engineers.
I don't know about that.
Game and Fish Commission, I believe it was. But anyway, we have a motion of $10,000. No, we have a motion for 10. Mr. Ralph made that motion.
We will need a regulation change in order
Yes.
to do that. You can't just simply make a motion. So we have to prepare the document for
I'll make a
regulation.
motion that we
But we can do
change
that.
the regulation,
Okay.
first off.
All right. We've amended we have amended the motion. Yes, and we set the limit at,
Well, I guess I'm thinking, 10 to 15. I'm just saying, okay, if these heat pumps are 10.5 or 12,000, let's go $12,000 and be done with it. I think that's adequate.
I think 20 is more appropriate. because it's the expense of things that we get called out on. I mean, what else did we have? You replaced the vent hood. I don't know what that cost.
Last year, and then we had two drain
Do you mind coming up to the mic, because you missed the part of the meeting where, that's where we're getting our sound from. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we repaired 3 large dollar items last year. We had 2 drain issues that both were in the range of 15 or something like that. And then the hood vent exhaust in the main kitchen there, that cost 15 as well. But there was nothing that went over 20 or, I mean, I would assume that the district manager would inform the board via email that they were getting ready to spend that money in the first place anyways. But, I mean, that they just spend money without any communication at all. I mean, I certainly have to communicate with the district manager saying that I need this thing. So I would assume that he would relay that information to you, but,
No, I don't believe that, because I don't believe that they've ever communicated that to any members. If anything I've read or talked about, that has not been done that way.
well, so.
It's just been,
Yeah.
I'll spend up to 35,000.
Well, I mean, the only thing
My
that I-
motion is 12,000.
Well, I was just repairing stuff that was literally broken and inoperable, so, and then they're pretty time-sensitive issues. With the hood exhaust, for instance, basically that goes out, I can't prepare hot food. So at that moment, I have to truncate service, which I did. I did cold sandwiches and stuff like that, but I mean, it's kind of difficult to do like a cold breakfast, and it becomes this thing where I'm just like employing people basically because we've agreed to employ them, and really, we should have just cut service. But, if we can get it fixed quick, then I can have a quick turnaround. So it does provide a little flexibility in the sense that I don't have to get 2 signatures or whatever from a board member. I mean, I experience this weekly with my beer order. So, I mean, with my beer order, I have to plan 2 weeks in advance because every one of my checks has to be signed. But this is not exactly the same circumstance, but it's just an example of how, you get these 2 signature situations that you got to plan 2 weeks out. So more or less, with a larger repair item, it could end up costing you a month of operation.
Don't you think we could have a quick board meeting if you called the district manager and said, hey, I've got this happen, and we need 2 hours notification
I
that
mean,
we're going to have a meeting?
I have
And
no
we
idea.
take care of that? That's it.
Can I
mean, it
make
can
a
be
sug-
done in 2 hours.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Maybe what would work is to set the regulation at 15, but have an administrative policy that anything over 10, the district manager has to
Informs.
communicate his plans to the board and offer, any comment or, well said.
Yeah, like
Okay,
that.
I think
Well, does
I'd
that
go along
run
with
into
that.
FOIA?
Now then, will somebody make the motion of whatever it may be?
I'd like to amend the motion that was made and seconded to create a regulation that would call for a limit of 15,000, but if it's between 10 and 15, the district manager has the approval to go ahead with notification of the Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
Abstained? I said aye. Motion carried. Okay, we're down to public comments. And I think we've already had them. Is there any additional comments to be made?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Shaw. I live at 169 Holiday Drive. One of the comments about the firefighters, the math just isn't working for me. How many firefighters are there voluntary? 27. How many are playing golf? 7? On the line in your budget, how much revenue are you thinking is going to come from taking these benefits away and that they're going to pay full price for golf? You have to have some math.
One of the problems is, as the chief told me, all of the firefighters do not play golf or swim. All of them don't.
Right.
So I'm not sure. He sent me a list of those that are playing golf, and I know most of them, but it's not 27. not 27.
And that's
So
what I'm
for,
saying.
let's say it was 27 times 900, you do the math, but it's not 27 times 900.
So that's
And
what
they get
I'm
family.
asking. On your budget line, how much are you expecting to get to offset taking away those benefits?
Well, we said we're not going to take it away, but we're asking him to watch who is playing and who's reporting for fire.
Okay.
Is that right, Chief? Is that what we agreed to?
Second to that, just a comment about the well on number 5, $400,000, I believe. Why was that initially an issue? It wouldn't have been an issue if there wasn't a problem, I would think. You wouldn't have budgeted for it if we thought it was okay, like we stated today.
Well, it was bringing it up to state-of-the-art condition.
Okay.
In other words, it is an old well, and it had access to the chlorine, and the chlorine has rusted a lot of the stuff, and some of the pumps are contaminated with rust and this kind of stuff. Not contaminated, but it just was going to be a total update. I think with proper maintenance and additional maintenance and some modification, that can be eliminated
Okay.
or severely curtailed.
From a priority perspective, where does that rate in your projects that you have on that budget?
Well, my
Opinion, I understand.
my opinion is, number one, infrastructure is number one.
Right.
Always number one. And that well, it's functioning now. It's got an alternative, it's got two.
Has a backup. So
Has a backup.
redundancy.
It is not crucial. The other thing that's crucial or it's on the agenda, is the dechlorination of the treatment plant. To get that brought up to date, or the new system that is required by the state health department. But that infrastructure is always priority number one in my book.
Okay, understood. I heard, and you'll have to forgive me, I just heard some talk about this. We're buying electric mowers for the.
No, that
No.
did not get approved. No.
Okay.
That did not happen.
One last comment, and then I'll yield. We talked about having a wedding planner, I believe, which I think is a great idea. Would that be something that you wouldn't just want to appoint one person? No offense, no nepotism. Would there not be just a contract thrown out there saying, hey, we're taking bids on a wedding planner for Holiday Island, blah, 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 and then
That we'll have to get into.
just a thought.
It's a thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The one thing we need to remember when we talk about all of these advertising and promotional things is that from the Bischoff lawsuit, we have a limited budget of what we can spend as HICID. And so that's why we've relied on the community and the free publications and the areas like that to promote any activities. But I haven't looked at that number lately, and I don't know where we stand on the promotions we have approved. But it's always a consideration that we have, what was it, 2% or something? I mean, it's like $25,000 or $30,000. I'm not sure exactly what the number is. We'd have to find.
20,000.
28,000, yep, right.
Yeah, and that's regulated.
Right.
So that's our limit. So, I mean, like I said, we rely on the community to help us advertise everything. And we can certainly decide if we want to promote something with a $5,000 budget to do that. But I just want everybody to be aware that we do have a limit on what we can spend of HICID money.
More.
Hi, first of all, thank you for table and the volunteer, decorated stuff. Quick question for you guys. You talking about an empty lot, or the empty lot go for $500,000? Have we ever considered hiring advertise that or hiring a realtor to come in and promote that and sell that?
Yeah, first of all, realtors are not going to do anything like that because, first of all, realtors just will not do anything for that low of money. It's not going to happen. They won't do it. I don't blame them. I wouldn't waste my time showing the lots and getting the ticks and chiggers off of me for a pittance of a commission. And so they won't do it. But I think we can do it.
Yeah, and what we found was that the lots that are still in private hands, people trying to sell those through realtors, there was at the time 700 lot listings on the MLS. So that's what we're competing with.
Okay. Moving along here. Commissioner comments. Have we commented enough, or do we need to comment some more?
Well, I don't really have any comments other than what we're going to do at the workshop, and I think some of that, this needs some further discussion on what we're going to spend on advertising and how we're going to do it, but I know that the only way we're going to get Holiday Island to grow is through advertising, so we're going to probably have to budget some extra money for advertising.
Well, we are limited.
Yeah,
in
I know.
what we can do.
But we're going to have to cut the budget maybe, and we're going to have to revise that budget totally, and we're going to have to add some advertising money, and we're going to have to take it from somebody. So whether we like it or dislike it, it's going to have to happen if we're going to do that.
I think the advertising that I don't know what we're doing now for 20 grand a year, but I think the 20,000 that we are spending needs to be more directly related to the golf and the swimming and the clubhouse as opposed to Holiday Island itself, which is being promoted by High Hall and all that. I believe we need to focus our advertising on our facilities.
Absolutely. I think that's correct. I think that's the only way we're going to go.
Okay.
I had a question for Bruce. I know you probably don't know this exact date, but is there a proposed date for opening of the rec center, the new one? Does plumbing need to be done yet on the small pool, or what? It looks like it's pretty well. The building looks ready to move into. To me, driving by it, new sidewalk.
Janice Murphy from the Rec Center. Eric, the project manager, he's planning on being out of there somewhere around April 15th, okay? And the little pool, pump room, we can't touch that yet until they're completely done with their electrical, because that was not part of the contract because of the damage that was done to that pump room. But in the meantime, Richard, the pool guy that comes in, gives us our chemicals and helps Kim a lot, he can start the reconstruction of the pipes. He can go ahead and start putting the pipes together while they're still there while the contractor is still building the building. Once the contractor's done and they finish the electrical that they have contracted for, they're going to seal up the box. So that means anytime that seal is broken again, they're not responsible for it. The builder is not responsible for it. But he does know Wes, who does Old Town Electric, and Wes has worked on this place before. He knows what he has to do in there, so that's the person we're going to have to contract with to finish up that pump room. And then once he's done, he will reseal up the box. So I don't know, you asked me exactly when. I'm sure that by the 15th or towards the end of April, we'll be able to start moving back over there. I'm still thinking that we have to hire an IT guy or somebody to IT to put all our computers back up, the register and the computer that's in the back with me. Other than that, it should be ready to move into. So planning on the pool being open on the big pool, I know, would be open Memorial Day weekend, I would assume. But after that, we have to worry about the little pool. So that's what view I can give you.
Problems with the pool plumbing on the small pool was a company that we paid $106,000 to tear down the old building, dropped the roof on that thing and broke all the plumbing.
Yeah.
And then they said, get a plumber.
Right.
That's what, we had no supervision over there. No. And that's where we're paying $90,000 more, maybe $100,000. But thanks for the update.
Okay.
Don't you think that maybe we're going to be done by May 1st with that? Can't we push those people to get May 1st? To open the rec center.
Oh,
Could we push the contractors and maybe make an opening date for May 1st?
I was not planning May 1st, because I was planning more closer to the opening of the pool.
Okay, Memorial Day?
And have a grand opening and have food and, stuff like that to bring the people out. Otherwise, people will be coming in, we'll be there, they can go in and look and walk around and visit everything, but the big party should be at the pool opening.
Okay. Agenda scheduling. Anybody got anything to put on for, we're going to have a workshop. I will get with the girls and schedule a workshop. Christine?
But you want to schedule the workshop after the new district manager is on board?
I think we can do one before then. Let's look at April.
Yeah.
April 15 would be the typical date for a workshop, and April 22 for the meeting.
Well, we need to get this fee schedule out of the way, and we don't need to delay that any further down the road. We need to do that right away. So how about scheduling one for the 8th of April? That'd be the second Monday.
That's the eclipse day. Only eclipse day.
Well, we can do it.
We'll be done before the eclipse.
We'll be done before the eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's
I don't
adequate.
want to
April
delay this
8th
anymore. I
would
want
suit
to go
me.
ahead and get this fee schedule done so we know what they are. We need to get the fee schedule done, so let's go ahead and schedule a work session for the 8th. I'm not going to Russellville to view the eclipse, or is anybody else planning on being gone?
If you left at 11, you can still make it.
Are everybody on board with April 8th then?
Yep.
Okay, let's go for it.
Let's schedule it for April the 8th. Any other business? Yes. Do you hear a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that a motion.
Do you hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.